Hi there, everyone. Here we are at Women's Health Week. So excited to be involved this week. I am Bianca and I'm one of the dietitians at Get Going. And really excited to be involved this week. You'll see me popping up again through the week. Today, though, we are talking about PCOS and nutrition for PCOS. So I'm just waiting for Jess to hop on because Jess will also be joining us. I'll just let her.
Hello.
There she is.
Hey,
Hi, Jess. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Bianca. How are you doing?
I'm good. Super excited to be talking all things PCOS today with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think we're just waiting for just a few people just to hop on, join in on
Yeah,
all the fun. What
all
have you been
fun.
up to today, Jess?
Not much. Went for a walk in the sunshine, which was nice. But yeah, just work around the house. How about you?
Lovely. Just had a few clients as well. Mainly just client work really today, and didn't have much time to go out in the sun, unfortunately. Did a quick walk, but that's it.
Oh, oh, well.
Okay, maybe tomorrow.
Hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully the weather's nice tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, looks like a few more people have jumped on, so we'll get into it.
Awesome.
All good. So as I've just said, I am Bianca and this is Jess, and we are both dietitians at Get Going. Again, we're kicking off a massive week this week with Jean Hale's Women's Health Week, which is super exciting, and we're super excited and thrilled to be involved. Today, as I've just said, we're talking about polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS, and how to manage your PCOS. And basically, since we're dietitians, we'll be focusing on the changes we can make through lifestyle factors. And I'll hand over to you, Jess.
Cool. So I'm going to go through what PCOS is and basically diagnosis as well. So PCOS is one of the most common hormonal disorders in women of a reproductive age. It affects roughly 8 to 13% of women from when they first get their period all the way through till menopause. It can cause quite a range of issues for women, including but not limited to period irregularity, length and cycle, fertility troubles, excess hair growth, acne, depression and anxiety, and trouble losing or maintaining weight. So the label PCOS can lead people to believe that it's just cysts on the ovaries, but the thing is that people can have cysts on their ovaries and this can cause some issues. However, it does not mean that they necessarily do have PCOS. PCOS is, as we said, a hormonal condition and is a condition that affects far more than just the ovaries. So the hormones that are involved when we talk about PCOS, we've got insulin and the androgens. Androgens is a steroid-based hormone that contributes to development and maintenance of male characteristics. As with most women's health conditions, much more research is needed in this area. However, it is thought that the increased levels of insulin circulating through the blood impacts on the ovaries and their ability to work normally, and then they produce excess levels of androgens, which then cause a lot of unpleasant symptoms of PCOS. Theoretically, if we can manage these hormone levels, we should be able to let the ovaries function normally. It can be a genetic condition, with women 50% more likely to have a close family relative who also has the condition. It is also most common in women of Asian, Aboriginal, and Torres Strait Islander and African backgrounds. Unsurprisingly, type 2 diabetes is also common in families who have PCOS. So it is categorized into 4 main types. It can be insulin-resistant PCOS, post-pill PCOS, inflammatory PCOS, or adrenal PCOS. And then when you're looking at diagnosing, you've got the 3 main diagnostic criteria, and you need to meet 2 of those criteria to be diagnosed with PCOS. So the first one is frequency and occurrence of your periods, or irregularity with your periods. The second is the amount of androgens in the blood. So this is seen through a blood test, or male sort of symptoms. So that might be the excess hair growth or acne, or even male pattern baldness. Thirdly, we can diagnose via ultrasound, where the polycystic ovaries can be seen, and then they're diagnosed based on how many there are and what kind of type there are on the ovaries. So it's important to know that not every woman with PCOS is going to have the same symptoms, and each person with PCOS has their very own individual symptoms, presentation, and then way of dealing with it as well. So PCOS cannot be cured, however, it can be managed. Depending on what you sort of struggle with and what type of PCOS you have, there's medical and lifestyle strategies that we can assist with in that area. For irregular periods, your doctors might prescribe you with the pill, the Mirena or Implanon. Excess hair growth and acne can be assisted with prescription medications, and whatever type of PCOS you have, the most important thing is finding a supportive and understanding healthcare team that can really help you with finding the best options for you. Over to you, Bianca.
Very true. So I'm just going to go through some of the nutritional and lifestyle management strategies that you can, I guess, use if you have PCOS. So of course we are dietitians, so we don't really have input around medications or medical management for PCOS, as that's outside our scope. However, there are multiple things that you can do lifestyle-wise that can help with managing PCOS symptoms, specifically for those that do have insulin-resistant PCOS. So insulin resistance does affect nearly 85% of women with PCOS, and when you are insulin resistant, your cells don't respond normally to insulin, and then basically it stops the entry of glucose into the cells. Because insulin is not working efficiently, the body actually increases the production of insulin. So it has that roll-on effect. This increases the production of androgen, so that's that male type hormone, which causes the unwanted symptoms, which we've briefly discussed. Insulin resistance in PCOS can occur in women of all weight ranges. I think often there's a misconception that it's women that fall into that overweight category on the BMI scale. Not that we always do use the BMI scale, because we know it is outdated, but I think there's a bit of a misconception that it occurs in women that are a little bit heavier. Not true. So it can occur in women of all weight ranges, and it actually does occur in 75% of women who present as being a lean body type. It can also be a genetic factor. So PCOS can also be a genetic factor as well. Women with PCOS do have trouble, or can have trouble, stabilizing their insulin levels. For this reason, we recommend that those with PCOS do have regular meals through the day. So this means eating every 3 to 4 hours, and this might look like 3 main meals with 2 or 3 snacks through the day. So this type of eating pattern ensures there's a prolonged and consistent supply of energy and glucose to the body. Another tip, I guess, around eating and managing PCOS, specifically insulin-resistant PCOS, is to choose whole grain or wholemeal varieties of carbohydrates. Generally, these types of carbohydrates will be released slower into the bloodstream, and they should assist with issues of insulin resistance. And another way to ensure you're managing your insulin resistance is to have balanced meals. So what this means is that you should include a mixture of lean protein and high quality fats to your meal, as well as that whole grain carbohydrate. As an example, if you were having dinner, you might have around a portion of baked fish, around 100 grams maybe, 1 to 2 cups of salad with a homemade dressing, including extra virgin olive oil, and half a cup of brown rice. So in that meal, you have your mixture of protein in the fish and the brown rice, the high quality fats in the fish and the extra virgin olive oil in the dressing, and high quality carbohydrates in the brown rice. Another tip to manage your PCOS symptoms is to include your 5 serves of veggies and 2 serves of fruit in your day. Classic dietitians we are giving this advice, but it is true. So luckily, this can be made quite easy when you follow that 3 meals and 2 to 3 snack routine. Not only does it promote that great food variety through the day when you're focusing on including your 5 and 2, but you're also filling your body with all these amazing nutrients, including building up your gut health, which can be important in PCOS as well. Our final tip for managing PCOS through diet and lifestyle is to aim to move your body for a minimum of 30 minutes every day. So this can be anything that you enjoy doing: walking, swimming, yoga, a dance class with friends, a HIIT session, a run, or lifting weights at the gym. It's basically whatever you enjoy. Regular movement can assist with regulating your menstrual cycles by inducing ovulation, improving insulin resistance, and improving your overall mood. So it is important to utilize exercise for both your physical and mental health. There is evidence that women who suffer from PCOS do have poorer moods or have issues with depression and anxiety. So if you are doing an exercise you hate because it's quote unquote good for you, then it's not really good for you. So finding a really fun and enjoyable way to move your body for you.
Cool. So I'll just quickly chat about fertility and PCOS. So your fertility can be affected if you have PCOS. This is because women with PCOS, your ovulation becomes quite irregular and unpredictable. It can stop completely, or the eggs may not fully develop. So this can make natural conception quite difficult because you can't time, or you don't know the timing of the ovulation. However, it does not mean that women with PCOS are infertile or unable to have children. It just really is important to find a GP that's going to sort of refer you on to those right health professionals that's really going to guide you through that journey and make sure that you've got all the assistance that you need. People who have poorly managed PCOS can be at an increased risk of things such as type 2 diabetes, cholesterol and blood fat abnormalities, and cardiovascular disease, which is why it's so important for someone with PCOS to understand their condition and how to manage it. If you do think you have PCOS, don't be afraid to flag it with your doctor so they can refer you on to other health professionals for further investigation and diagnosis. By getting a diagnosis and managing your PCOS, you can reduce any long-term health risks that are often associated with PCOS.
Thanks, Jess. So now I'm going to be asking Jess a few questions about her own journey and experience with PCOS, so we can all have a better understanding of what it's really like rather than us just putting out all this theoretical stuff. So, Jess, when were you diagnosed with PCOS and sort of what was that process like?
I got diagnosed start of last year, so March 2020, I think, yes. So I was on the pill for a few years. I came off it in November 2019. I was still doing my placements for uni, and my period was coming regularly for maybe 2 months, and then it got to December and I got it twice in a month, and then it just disappeared and I didn't get it for about 3 months. So I went to the GP. She ran some blood tests, came back with high testosterone, which is an androgen, and so she then referred me on to get an ultrasound to check my ovaries, where there we found that I inevitably have PCOS. So then she told me I should go on the pill to manage my symptoms. So I just kind of did it. I didn't know a lot of what to do at the time. And then I was reading into it a bit more, and I realized that one of the reasons you go on the pill is that there's certain pills, such as Yasmin, that have anti-androgens in the pill. So those ones are much more expensive, but they help with managing those side effects of PCOS. So I went back to a different doctor asking to get my sugars tested and to switch to this pill. And she looked me up and down. She's like, why do you want your sugars tested? And I was like, oh, because I have PCOS. I just want to check, know what they're like and if I need to be watching that. She literally looked me up and down and was like, do you know what PCOS is? And I was like, yes. And she said, okay, there's three diagnostic criteria for PCOS. And then I was like, yeah, I know, I have all three of them. And she's like, she just, like, honestly, because I didn't look like I have PCOS, she didn't believe that I had it. So she still ran through all the diagnostic criteria with me. And then I was like, yes, I have those. Can I please get this pill and referral? And then, yeah, and then she proceeded to tell me as I was leaving if I wanted more support, they run a diet and exercise group. And I said, thanks, I'm a dietitian. Bye. Because she took no time to get to know me. So I think going back to what we said earlier about finding a GP that really is understanding and helpful, that's what we when we say that you know, they're going to actually take that time to get to know you and kind of like understand what's going on a bit more.
Yeah, and I think that's a really common problem for women that have chronic health conditions for many years, and they're constantly fighting, to be heard. And it's like, if you would just listen to me,
Yeah,
we could work this out. And I could not be in pain every day. I could not be experiencing weird periods or, you know, weird facial hair or like all of that. It's like, listen to me. And I think that's just a massive message, I guess, for Women's Health Week as well. It's about fighting for ourselves,
advocating
as women. Yeah, advocating, because we know our bodies, and we do, and we need to trust in that. Yeah. And, you know, and educated people as well, like yourself, a dietitian, and they're like, oh, diet and exercise.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
And it can be tricky to stand up, well, not stand up to, but say to someone who you know, is more sort of qualified in that field than you, and being saying, no, you're wrong, or you need to listen to me more, which can be quite tricky to say to someone who's, so educated on
definitely. Yeah, but it's definitely trusting in your own knowledge and trusting in your own body and knowing that there is something new or there is something different, and just fighting for that, because you have to keep going till you're heard.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. Again, it is hard. It is really hard to sort of push back. Yeah. But I think it's needed as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what was, I know you've sort of covered this a little bit, but what was your knowledge of PCOS at that first diagnosis?
It wasn't great. Like, I'd learned about it at uni, but a lot of what we learned about in dietetics was more about how to lose weight, first, like how to advise with PCOS, and it wasn't as much about the background and the like the physiology behind it. So I did have to do a lot of my own research and finding out things for myself.
Yeah, I think I was going to say that even when I went back to, I had some clients with PCOS, and when I went back to see, oh, how do I treat this appropriately with evidence-based guidelines, I was like, oh, lose weight. Like, that's not really the way I want to go about it. So I had to do my own, I guess, professional development and upskilling to make sure I was, I guess, giving up the right advice and not just lose weight, good luck. Which I think people with PCOS often do get that. Oh, we'll lose some weight, good luck. So,
I don't think
better knowledge, I think. Education, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Education. Yeah, 100%. So what are your own, I guess, management strategies medically and lifestyle-wise? How do you manage your PCOS?
I think a lot of it is, diet and exercise. So making sure I try not to eat too many high carbohydrate foods or meals, especially by themselves. I don't at all avoid carbohydrates. I just really try to pair them with proteins and or good fats to just help with that digestion and those blood sugar levels. It doesn't mean that I'm perfect with that. And then I try to get a mix of cardio exercise and like weight training based exercise, just because they both have their own benefits, including what's the word I'm looking for? Improving your like muscle mass and strength can really help with managing those blood sugars. So that's why I focus on that.
Lovely. And I guess, again, you probably covered this a little bit already, but what would your own advice be to people with PCOS be, given your own experience and your journey?
If you suspect that you might have it, or you're not sure about something that's going on, then definitely go get it investigated. Try and like, even if you're going to a bulk build doctor, try and find someone that at least puts women's health in their areas of interest. And yeah, find a GP that you kind of trust and feel comfortable with. If they kind of ignore you, then just find another doctor. Find someone that's actually going to listen to you and get to know how it's affecting you and your body, and then what management is going to work for you, because it's not going to be the same for everyone. I chose not to stay on the pill, but for some people it's much easier. It probably is much easier to go on the pill, but it's up to you and what else you've got going on and what else affects you.
Yeah. And again, exactly, just bringing home that message of that every woman's, I guess, PCOS will be different. Every woman's journey will be different. And that can change over the lifespan as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your own, I guess, journey with PCOS and your own lived experience with PCOS. We are happy to take some questions from any viewers at the moment. If anyone's got any questions, we would love to answer them around PCOS, nutrition, any questions for Jess as well about her own experiences with PCOS. Can you see the questions and answer the questions and people joining as well, Jess?
I can see people joining.
Okay, cool. All good. I can't see any questions.
Cool, that's fine. We just obviously covered it very well.
Oh, that must be it. Yeah. If there are no questions, I was going to say, everyone jump in with your questions now.
Oh. Gluten and dairy.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yes, from Alex. Jess, do you have any thoughts on this one?
Just in case anyone can't see what he said, Alex has asked about myth-busting gluten and dairy avoidance on PCOS. I think, again, it's very individualized. There's no reason that you have to avoid dairy and gluten. If it's something you've tried, feel better with, absolutely do that if that's what's good for you. But there's nothing about it that you have to avoid it. Just like you do not have to avoid carbs. Because I think people can get confused with gluten and carbohydrates. There's definitely place for them in your diet if you enjoy it and you want to eat either of those.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so there is a large PCOS account on Instagram that's run by a dietitian. She seems to get really good results, and she offers that advice to other people as well. I think, it's not for everyone. I don't recommend people avoid gluten or dairy if they don't need to, if they don't have an intolerance or an allergy to those things. Or celiac disease. I don't recommend cutting anything out, because I think that's cutting out too many food groups or foods. I just think I don't like restricting anything. So I think it's too restrictive to cut out gluten and dairy. I think the evidence, again, is iffy. I don't think it's straightforward. So I don't recommend that personally. When I have clients that have PCOS, I generally just go for the low GI foods, wholemeal, whole grain type food, carbohydrates. I don't personally recommend it. I know it has been shown to work for some people, but I think the evidence is still a little bit, it's not strong for avoiding it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And it's just so individualized and what else you've got going on and how PCOS affects you, I guess. But yeah, I can't say I've tried it, but I don't plan to.
Yeah, yeah. I again, I don't usually recommend it either. I think when there's really strong evidence-based guidelines around how to manage it, and if that says gluten and dairy avoidance, then I'd probably go down that path. But until then, I wouldn't recommend it. No.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Alex, for that question. That's a really good question and something that commonly does come up as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Emily asked, do you need to get regular checkups? You know what? I probably should. Yes, I haven't had my bloods checked in ages and I've been meaning to, just to kind of check everything's okay, check if like, especially if you are at high risk of something like type 2 diabetes, getting your sugars tested, getting your cholesterol tested regularly just to check, keep tabs on how you're doing. Yes, I would say the answer is yes, you should get regular checkups. I'm really bad at doing it.
I think there was another question. What are the best types of carbs to have and ones to avoid? Again, so I think it's those carbohydrates that are whole grain or wholemeal carbs. So multi-grain bread, brown rice, wholemeal pasta, quinoa,
Yep.
wholemeal couscous. So all of those types of carbohydrates. Fruit, fruit's a carbohydrate as well. Fruit's good. Yeah, even a dairy. I don't have an issue with dairy, so dairy as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's about it. The ones to avoid would generally be those ones that are highly processed. So high sugar, high fat as well. Those type of carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Just the general healthy eating, I guess, principles with that one. Yeah, just avoiding the ones that we know aren't so good. So high sugar, highly processed ones like white bread. But
and then trying
to feel like white bread sometimes.
With like
yes, pairing it, with proteins and fats as well. Yeah. Nice little encouragement from Steph. Thank you, Steph.
Thanks, Steph.
I think another thing that might have come up as well that we didn't cover was the supplement of inositol.
Yeah.
The PCOS. Have you heard about that as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just as a background, people that have PCOS that have an insulin-resistant PCOS may be put on metformin, which is a drug that's used to help with controlling your blood sugars. It's a drug that's also used in type 2 diabetes and type 1 diabetes, so it's widely used for insulin resistance, I guess. Research has shown that supplementing inositol does improve insulin receptor activity and can help with insulin resistance in women with PCOS. And it can help by up to 70%. So there is research behind that supplement being used as well.
Yeah.
But that's sort of up and coming as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I've tried it.
Yeah.
I'm not good at sticking to it. So I have waves of being good and taking
compliance.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I never get my bloods tested, so I have no idea if it's helping.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
You're doing well. Any more questions? I'm just checking through the comments. No, I think they're all good.
I think so.
Lovely. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in and thank you for the questions. We've had such a nice time chatting through PCOS. Keep an eye out through the week. We've got a few Instagram lives and a few posts this week for Women's Health Week around pregnancy and exercise, menopause and iron requirements and exercising around your period, I believe. So keep an eye out this week for all of that to come. But otherwise, hope everyone has a lovely week and we will see you next time. Thank you so much, Jess, for jumping on with me.
No problem. Thanks, Bianca. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.